Hey everybody, it's Glade Riven with Second Pulsar Gaming. I normally try to keep my channel fairly positive, but right now when it comes to One D&D, I'm having issues. But it's not with the rules, it's with how they're handling it. Because I have not seen this level of tone deaf from Wizards of the Coast since 4th edition. So, Jeremy Crawford had a video a few days ago about the first survey results, which they really should be past that and on to the second survey results. And this looks like he's stalling for time with his superiors at Wizards because it's all execu speak. He's talking in circles, which shows how badly designed that the surveys were. I'm not even talking about the rules on this. I'm not talking about the rules. I'm talking about how they are interacting with the fan base. It's like, let's pretend we're interacting with the fan base, but not actually interact with the fan base. We're going to pretend that you care. When I went to see if I could make a comment on their blog post in D&D Beyond for the recent change from race to species, and their mechanism that they have on there is just to add a like. You can't actually comment on it. It's just to boost their Twitter likes. What the WT... It's like... Okay, getting the double what in there, but... WTF. What is going on here? Which tells me they don't want interaction. They don't want meaningful interaction with the fan base. They want to pretend they're having meaningful interaction with the fan base so that they can go to their bosses like, oh, look, we consulted the fans. We consulted, we did our market research. This isn't market research. I've seen market research. This isn't market research. This is a joke. And this is a problem on the corporate level, not with the actual game design. From what I've seen of the game design stuff is just like, there's things I like, there's things I don't like, but it's just, there's nothing really major in there that I've seen as yet. Because quite frankly, early playtests are going to be, we're in pre-alpha stage right now with what they're releasing. And it would be helpful if they would share what the design goal was, but from what I've seen, they don't have a specific design goal. They want to pump out another edition for the sole purposes of pushing their virtual tabletop and selling some more books. That seems to be the goal. This isn't driving the brand forward. Like, no wonder Hasbro's taking a hit on their stock on this. And because it's not just, current sales, it's potential future sales. And any stock investor that's been looking at Dungeons and Dragons is going, this is stupid. This is not how you treat your customer base. I mean, I get it. They're a little skittish after what happened with Spelljammer, which was a train wreck, even before you got to the quote racism issues, which I'm thinking may have been a plant. So that it's because I got a whole conspiracy theory on that. It's like, I'm not saying that they did it intentionally so that they could sue another company to not use the Star Frontiers, but it's rather coincidental that an article comes out pointing out that the Hadozi are a racist caricature right when Hasbro's lawyers are saying that the Hadozi are a racist caricature in court. It's like, yeah, it's like, but that aside, what the F are they doing? I was just like, I couldn't even get through the One D&D. I could not get through the survey results. I got halfway through the video. It's just like, I can't even watch this because Jeremy Crawford talks in circles with meaningless execu-speak. And going on about the species thing. Species is a clinical scientific term which would work for a sci-fi setting. Dungeons and Dragons, well, there's occasional bits of sci-fi thrown in, is dungeon punk. It invented dungeon punk. Dungeon punk is built around Dungeons and Dragons. And Dungeons & Dragons built dungeon punk based off of high fantasy, low fantasy, and honestly, a lot of fringe fantasy genres. Heavy Metal magazine, classic Heavy Metal magazine, which is, which is sci-fi kind of, and considered kind of fringe. It's not Star Trek. It's not Star Wars. Although both of those have influenced D&D too, because everything influences D&D, because D&D is, Dungeons and Dragons always has been everything that people in the nerd sphere, nerd entertainment, distilled. But I'm just like wondering, what is going on at Wizards that they are outputting this nonsensical fluff to pretend that they're interacting? Did they hire like too many of these clickbait media writers or something? That's possible. And if that's the case, it's going to bite them in the butt. Their stock's got to drop. It's like, get your shit together. At least let us know what the goal of the redesign is, what you're trying to, what the purpose of what you're doing with the new edition. Because right now, all you're showing with your purpose of the new edition is that, well, we're at the end of an edition cycle and we need to sell more books. And we need to get everybody on board with these new digital tools. That's not a good way forward. That's not a good brand strategy. Oh yeah, everything's backwards compatible. At the moment with the playtest, not really. It's only kind of, sorta. Bring out more stuff like the Monsters of the Multiverse. That was a great book. I know some people had issues with it. But all they did with alignment is add the term usually in front of the alignment on there. And I thought the changes to goblins were well written. Sure, the power level on the races were a little high, but other than that, it was for a lot of the new races were a little high. But that's pretty easy to account for. And honestly, it's just other people are doing it better. And publishing is doing it better with Level Up and their heritages. Paizo's doing it better with Ancestries. Species? Really? It's like you can't break out a thesaurus and come up with something better? Go to thesaurus.com. You can look up you can use it for free. It's like, oh, we don't want to use a term that our competitors like. It's done under open game license. You can use that term. You could use heritages. It's like, better yet, just go pay Morris and publishing for Level Up. Just go buy it off them. It'll be cheaper. It'll be better. It's a better, more refined game. Still backwards compatible with fifth edition. And add that to your virtual tabletop. Just go pay them. They already did the work for you. Go buy it off of them. It'll be cheaper. It'll be faster, and it'll be better. Because right now it's just like, what the flying F are you doing? Mostly it looks like you're pretending to do a job that you're not actually doing. Because you're too busy shifting paradigms. And building a box just so that you can think out of it. But you're not doing a very good job of building the box to think out of to begin with. It's like, come on, Wizards. It's like you keep pulling this crap. Yes, you are going to lose sales. You're not going. This is One D&D, 6th edition, whatever you want to call it, is going to be another 4th edition because you can't commit to your brand identity. And it's like, I'm not even. This has nothing to do with woke or not woke or not. You can't commit to your brand identity. You can commit to your brand identity while fixing the issues with there. But it's obvious you don't understand Dragonlance. Because Dragonlance is essentially Fallout set in a fantasy world. It's a post-apocalyptic, several hundred years later, setting. And then you have a second apocalypse coming with a dragon invasion, led by Talkesis. The concept's not that high concept. But you made it like the most instead what you did is you made it the most generic fantasy. And it's just like pretending to be old school without actually being old school. While fixing all the problematic stuff. You can fix the problematic stuff, that's fine. You don't want Kender to be klepto, that's fine. You want to ignore the existence of gully doors for obvious reasons, that's fine. But it's just like it's whoever's writing the stuff doesn't understand the product. Probably because they were last year they were off writing articles about how great The Last Jedi was. Stop talking about The Last Jedi. Nobody cares. It's just like this rant's getting long, but get your act together. If you want to interact with the fan base, interact in a meaningful way. Because quite frankly, this shallow, there are TikTok shows that interact with their audience in a more meaningful way in 10 seconds than the entirety of the video on One D&D. This seems to be like this was done to show off to a board that, hey, we're doing something, rather than actually communicating with the customer base. Which, yeah. You would do better if you cared about your customer base. But this is not showing that you care about your customer base. This is the opposite. And you're going to hemorrhage sales if you don't actually start paying attention to your customer base. Because that's how you got 4th edition. You stopped caring. It's like you did what you thought the boardroom wanted at Hasbro instead of making a game that people wanted to play. And the hilarious part about 4th edition is that if you only went halfway there, like with Star Wars Saga Edition, 4th edition would have been a success. And you created Paizo. Quite literally. You created your greatest competitor, and they're going to grow because that's what they will do. It's just like, are you going to keep the third parties into One D&D? Are you really going to go down that route again? Are you going to alienate your fan base and drive them off to a competitor? It's happened before. Get your act together, Wizards.